game face is on. Okay, yeah, we're back. Yo.
Sweet. Uh, so,
So, Asa.
Oh, I gotta take it away, don't I?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, so
We are going to talk about character downtime, though, at some point, but take it away.
this is true. In the last episode, there was a lot that happened, but the most notable fact was just at the end, there was an assassination of Kyle. Fill me on the names, because I did not take notes.
His name was Ambassador Teladris, and he was an ambassador from the Celestial Kingdoms, whatever we're going to call that capital city. He was from there.
What was that?
He was,
Elysium.
yeah, and he came to Twin Harbor, and he was going to broker a deal between the Celestial Kingdoms, between Elysium and the South Earden Shipping Company. And as he came into the plaza, he was essentially shot in the head. And that was significant because up until that point, firearms did not exist in our world. And now, suddenly, inexplicably, they do.
Yes, indeed. And we discovered that it was potentially dwarves who were responsible for this. Possibly the Dwarven Empire. We'll find out. So, 2 weeks have passed since the assassination of Ambassador Teladrius. In that time, his paladins, both those that came with him during his meeting, and others who have come to the city since, have established their own fort within the walls of Twin Harbors, much to the disdain of the Guild Council, who again works very hard to keep Twin Harbors in a neutral state between these two empires. In that time, there's been a fair amount of aggression toward dwarves, perpetuated by the Celestial Paladins, and the Free Kingdoms themselves have established stronger military standing along their side of the river, and are making just an all-around larger presence in the Twin Harbors. And in turn, the Twin Harbors Guard has increased in size and in ferocity, having to deal with this influx of soldiers that is unwanted. For the most part, the Dwarven Empire has pulled their troops from Twin Harbors and seems to be unwilling to send any back, which is hurting the economy because the soldiers do bring in a lot of money to the city. The soldiers from both sides, and so this tensity is building, and then it seems like the harbors are just not liking it. So, I believe that was everything I said that was happening. While this is going down, what has everyone else been doing? Let's go ahead and let us describe what Alton's been up to in the last 2 weeks.
Alton is started, should I say, and with these events changing over the span of a couple weeks, it changing a little bit, but he started looking for an alchemist to essentially replicate sympathy. Is it sympathy?
Yes.
Yeah, sympathy, but for non-fey creatures. Something that would not necessarily be more impactful as a high, but like more impactful for like personally, kind of in the same way that like gambling in video games are like sex is addictive. It's not necessarily. I mean, there is a chemical addiction, but it has other aspects to it. Like personal, like internal chemical releases, not external ones. So he started doing that, but with the as a way of kind of reconnecting that deal with that dwarven crime person. Darius, thank you. But that has changed a little bit. He's kind of on a holding pattern, and I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Eridu. That's going to change a lot of what he has done. But when he took Eridu's 10,000 gold, there were two things that he had planned. The first thing was to save Eridu by reestablishing friendly terms with Darius, and then the other one was to see Eridu through the getting clean, and then giving the rest of the money back, so he so that way he can like live his life like normal. So
Has Alton taken any steps to contact Eridu in the past 2 weeks?
it depends. That's a lot of depends. Where Eridu went, how hard it is to get in out of the city, or if he's still in the city.
Well,
I don't know.
In short, the only way Alton would know to get a hold of Eridu is to go to his apartments, and if he goes to his apartments, it looks as though it hasn't changed at all since Vilren packed and left.
Right.
And Eridu hasn't been there. Like, obviously, it's unkept. It's getting dirty, and it seems to definitely be outside of, well, I guess not outside of Alton's understanding of Eridu, but outside of Eridu's character, because he would have kept this stuff pretty clean, but he's been gone.
Right. And so in that
With
case,
no
what
trace
he
of where
would
he's
do
went at all.
is- So then, yeah, the one case that he would do is he would probably hire somebody, because it's kind of one aspect of the islands that I never really talked about, but there is very much so a services-based economy, being that you don't people don't like in America, we're still in this mindset where I can be a plumber, I can work on my car, my pipes, my electricity, and all this other stuff. Everybody chooses to specialize, and then they pay for the services. You specialize in something, and then the economy builds on the fact that aren't good at anything else.
Right.
So, he's a fisherman. That's what he does. He does very specifically, like hunting of bigger fish and whatnot. So he doesn't know how to take care of things and all that other stuff. So he would hire somebody to come in, probably every day or every other day or something like that, to make sure that the place is kept up. And he'd probably do the best that he could to find out where Eridu is, but with his limited charisma, and the fact that he doesn't really have deep connections in the area, it's going to be hard for him. And especially on top of that, you have Darius has now become a little bit on the backseat, because I don't think he is worried about Darius causing problems with so much tension going on. But he is getting back to getting an alchemist, and or maybe finding an alternate means of getting back on the good graces with Darius, like he promised, is at some point a priority.
He has been able to find himself an alchemist, and I do believe I did the thing where I wrote down notes, and now I don't know where I put them.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get back to you on that. He's definitely found himself an alchemist, and I will get you information on that when the game starts going.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then we'll work out what all of that stuff means, and how much is and stuff. You and I can work on that offline.
I'm not worried about the financials at all.
Well, no, not just the financials, but what drugs they develop and all that other stuff.
So who's next?
Oh, right.
So
Go ahead and take it away, Kyle.
Okay, cool. So Eigner, by this point, since he wasn't involved in the last episode, this has been a much longer period of time for him. There was 3 months that passed between episodes 2 and 3. Now 2 weeks between 3 and 4. So for 3.5 months, Eigner has been isolated pretty much. I said before that he has got a wilderness abode, essentially what was a rudimentary shelter that he made in like a stand of trees that's, maybe like, I don't know, like a mile outside of Twin Harbor or something like that. And in that time, he has still been a spider monster. At the end of episode 2, he drank what he thought was a potion of spider climb, and it actually turned his entire lower half of his body into an enormous spider abdomen. So he's like a spider monster, and he's taken advantage of that to actually climb to like the very tippy tops of trees, and like he's cutting down branches with his axe. He's like really spending the time constructively to make essentially a cabin, just like making a little comfy cabin out in the woods for himself. He's decorating the whole thing with webs because all of a sudden he has spinnerets. Why not? And the other thing that he does is that every day he goes to this hill that overlooks Twin Harbor. He goes at different times, sometimes in the sun when the sun is rising, sometimes when the sun is setting, sometimes in the middle of the day. But he goes and he just looks upon the city. He feels so disconnected from it, but he wants to feel connected to it in some kind of way. And that means that he was actually there that day 2 weeks ago when the gunshot went off and when Ambassador Taladris was killed. And he heard the shot. He saw the flash, the powder, and like everyone, he has more questions than he has answers about what happened that day. And yeah, over the past 2 weeks, he's just been putting the finishing touches on his cabin, practicing his new fighting maneuvers as best as he can with his spider legs, and yeah, just trying to also meditate. He's trying to meditate and find peace with his spider existence.
Cool, cool. So, what has On been doing for the past 2 weeks in light of this catastrophe?
On has withdrawn in a more literal sense, and not necessarily in an emotional one, but in a productive way. Seeing this happen, knowing that he was working to stop it from happening, he is ignoring any emotional outburst that might come about, and is diving into work. So, he has been spending the last 2 weeks studying with his intern Zelor, looking into the backgrounds of the key players of his nice little like whiteboard with string attached to it, trying to work out who benefits from Taladris being shot, who else in the town is going to be harmed by this, what are the possible ramifications, and he may learn that he possibly needs more information from outside of Twin Harbors to understand the grander geopolitical situation. He may not have got there yet. But another thing that he would have done is realized that without Okrim and with Eridu going missing, he doesn't know a lot of people that can help. And so he is trying to keep in contact and send messengers out to, and occasionally leaving town to go and find, Lauren, Eigner, and Bredis. So he'll try to travel to see Bredis at some point over the 2 weeks, but not spend a lot of time with her. Try and get a message out to Lauren and see if he can go out and find Eigner.
I mean, y'all have probably stopped at his wilderness abode once or twice, and you are appropriately impressed by the improvements.
As you should be. Oh my gosh, I had a train of thought and I lost it. So, instead of going on that train of thought, I am instead going to get inside of Agner's head just a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So, Eigner,
Yes?
I need to find my notes. Here we go.
Okay.
Eigner, you stand on the crest of a hill. The sky is orange, red, and purple with the setting sun. Standing or on a horseback next to you is a man in shining armor, his faceplate down so that the sunlight reflects off of his helmet, kind of making him look like a beacon of light. You and this man stare down at the town below you. It's a village. Houses made mostly of single-story clay domes. Squat figures move through the streets, unaware of the two men surveying them, and of the 20 or so men behind them on horseback, in equally shining armor, donned with swords. This man turns his helmed head to you and says, I understand you have your reservations, Eigner.
I do. But I will not let them interfere with my duty.
Good. A storm is coming, and we stand at the edge of a precipice. Whether you choose to leap, or you are pushed over the edge, that is up to you. But you do have your orders, and I expect you to follow them, to the letter. With that, Captain Stans draws his sword. The men behind him all do the same, and he gives the order to charge. As you look down to take your horse's reins, you find that where your torso ends and your legs and your mount should be is actually a large black abdomen, 6 segmented legs holding you to the ground. Yeah, I kind of lost that description, but in a sense, you are still your half human, half spider form. What are you going to do?
I will charge forward
Mhm.
and fulfill the duty that I was ordered to do.
As you do, you charge into battle with your regiment of knights, weighing in to the dwarves, who seem very surprised by this sudden attack. Many of them brandishing their pitchforks and other similarly mundane weaponry, fighting clumsily, but to the best of their ability. They're no match for you and your men. You swing your sword amongst the dwarves, laying many, and turn to strike as you see a figure approach towards you in a long, flowing robes, a deep hood covering this figure's face. What do you do again?
I feel like I've been waiting for you. What are you doing here standing in the past?
I've been looking for you, Eigner Bosh. Eigner Bosh, sorry.
That's me.
Yeah. This figure pulls the hood back, revealing a slender face, long, dark hair. She's pretty in a very simple way. But, yeah, she studies you with very intense eyes. She says, you've been very hard to find. We've had to resort to means that usually we try not to use. She looks around the battlefield and says, I try not to judge people's dreams, but really?
I wish I had control over it, but I don't.
Fair enough.
If you had managed to think of tracking my dreams before, you would have found me in this same one every night, and every night, and every night.
What is this dream? What's going on here? I mean, you don't have to tell me. It's not really why I'm here, but it's just a curiosity.
This is the day I lost my faith. This is the day I left the only life that I'd ever known as a paladin.
She blinks a little like as though she didn't expect this answer at all, and kind of gets the awkward. Oh, well, I'm sorry I asked. I'm I'm here on official business, uh, and so you want to go elsewhere, or do you want to talk here?
Uh, whatever suits you.
Mhm. This is as good a place as any, I guess. Um, it has recently come to our attention that you have become a monstrosity, and
You could say, yeah, you could say that.
since your transformation, we've been trying to track you down because you need to register for these things. You know,
Excuse me?
you need to be processed through the proper bureaus. When one goes through a transformation of a magical sort like yours, there's paperwork involved, and all sorts of other things. We need home addresses. We need next of kin. Um, should anything go terribly wrong, and then of course we need you to be able to dumb down this monstrosity a little bit, so that you can be acceptable in common places.
Uh, Look, I didn't sign up for this. I, there was, this is a case of false advertising. I thought it was a potion of spider climb, and only that.
I'm sorry. I'm being impolite. You're right. In a lot of these cases, accidents happen, and people undergo changes they didn't mean. You're bitten by wolves in the night, or I don't know. Sometimes a beautiful man comes up to you and asks for. Anyway, point being, these things happen, and I'm sorry that it's happened to you. I will try to make this transition as simple as possible. If you could give us your location, I could be out there within the day. We can get some of this uncomfortableness beyond us, and we can try to get you as presentable as possible so that people will be comfortable in your presence again.
You're telling me that you can fix this.
A yes and no. We can help you be less spidery, but your affliction will always remain.
Hmm. I see.
How rude of me. I'm sorry. I am Ethel Vashun. I am an investigator for the Bureau. You know of the Bureau. You know of the Bureau, right?
I think I've heard of them before.
Well, good, good.
It's
Saves
a
a lot of
magic
time.
thing. It's a magic thing, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, if you've ever owned a magic object, you would have registered it to the Bureau, like a good citizen does.
Yeah.
That's swords registered, right?
I'm not even entirely sure if the sword is magical or not, so maybe that's something you could also help me with, in addition to the spidery de-spidering.
We can work it out. It's my job. It's my pleasure.
Very well. I live in a cabin in the stand of trees about a mile west from Twin Harbor's North Gate.
Let's make this a little bit simpler. Sit down. You can do that, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
am sitting. It's the only way I can sleep, actually, with my current state.
Yes, of course. Okay. She walks up to you and she takes a ring out and she puts it on your finger and she says, "All right." And she puts a similar one on her own. Goes, "All right, cool. Let's try something really quick." She starts talking to you without moving her lips. Um, Testing. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Cool. I should be able to track you through this mental connection we have now. It will take, me a day to get out there. Just wait. Don't go anywhere. Please don't go into any places where there are people.
Very well. Yes. Thank you. Ethel, was it?
That's it. And you were Eigner.
Eigner.
Yes. We'll be seeing you soon.
Very well.
And with that, she vanishes. Your dream remains as it was. It looks like the battle hasn't even noticed your absence.
I'll get back to it like I'm cursed to do in this dream.
Very well. All right. That is all for your dream.
Wow.
All right. What's Onn up to right now?
On will be sat in not the cornerstone with Zelor.
Okay.
That is where On will be right now.
Perfect. And is Zelor with a Z? Making those notes.
I
Not
assume
sure.
so.
Okay. Is he? And he's a dwarf.
He is.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's an intern that I've hired.
Perfect. All right. So Zelor sits there, with his arms crossed, staring at you. You know, I've been trying to do a little bit of digging into Garth. One of the things that you're wanting, and I think I've got the right thing for you. It's difficult to come by, and extremely dangerous if it's in the wrong hands. But I think I can get it. I think I can get it to you, and it should help you keep some tabs on this Garth fellow.
Oh, wonderful. He does seem to be one of the central figures in our plan of how things are panning out here. Yes, anything that we can get on Garth would be immensely helpful. Thank you, Zelor.
Of course, it will be rather expensive.
As you are well aware, expense should not be an issue. I will see what I have left in the stores, but yes, it shouldn't be too much to get. What are we talking here? 2 gold? 3?
More like 300.
Uh-huh.
Is that
Right.
is it doable?
How, when would you need the 300 by?
I mean, when do you need the object by?
Huh. I will go and see what can be done to raise the funds, and I shall get back to you, Zelor.
All right. Well, if there's anything else you need, you know where to find me.
Thank you, and thank you again. You really have been invaluable these last few weeks.
I do what I can. Listen though. A lot of my kind, we're leaving the city. The paladins don't take too nicely to us, and it's getting more and more dangerous being a dwarf in these parts. I don't know
I
how
thought you were
much.
referring to interns.
Oh, well, it's probably pretty dangerous to be an intern as well, but you know, comes with the job. No, dwarves. Like, I mean, haven't you heard the rumors? They think dwarves assassinated the ambassador. They're, common consensus is it's the Empire's fault.
I'm not aware of the political allegiances, but my understanding is that it was dwarven adversaries that took out the aasimar ambassador.
Yeah, and it's not like these two empires need a reason to not fight each other. I mean,
So you're saying that because you yourself share physical characteristics with those that did a foul deed, that you are also suspect?
there are some who look at it that way, yeah. particularly the paladins who were present when the ambassador was killed. They
Do
don't.
you share this notion?
Do I think that I'm an assassin, or that I wanted the ambassador? No, no, not at all. I had no idea of. I don't even know who this ambassador is.
Hmm.
I'm not even from the Empire.
Hmm. Yes, but as you say, we don't know for sure that it's the Empire that did the foul deed.
Oh, I try to stay out of the political turmoils. It just, you know.
Hmm. Yes. Well, I certainly hope that I'm able to raise the funds before you find a way to make your leave. If you do, however, find that you are having to leave in a more hasty fashion than you would otherwise hope for, do try to leave me a message. I would appreciate being aware.
Definitely. You have been a great employer, and I wouldn't want to leave you without saying goodbye.
Hmm.
You've always been entertaining, Onn.
On doesn't know how to take that and will simply walk away. No further interaction.
Sounds about right.
He's getting better and better at social situations by the day.
Pretty much like Commander Shepard. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's like all the phone conversation on every TV like movie ever, where they're just like, "That's the information I needed. All right, bye."
Yeah.
Or half the time they don't even say goodbye; they just hang up.
Yeah.
I know,
It's
right?
like, come on, guys. Like, where's that awkward? Okay, yeah.
Love you. Wait.
I'll talk to you. Yep.
Wait.
All right, goodbye. I'll talk to you later. Okay, we'll catch up then. All right, thanks.
It's always a hyper efficient,
Bye.
like, do you have the drugs? Great, I'll meet you there. End. It's like really nice and efficient. Brilliant. Yeah.
Only life worked like that. In On's world, it does.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, I'll head out, and my goal right now is to wander the streets and see if I can think of a way to raise money, possibly even wander by the bulletin board and see if anything's up there. And it would be interesting to see what the bulletin board is like, given the current state of things. See if it's possibly empty because no one's wanting to venture outside the city, or
Yeah. Actually, you wander by the bulletin board, and you've gotten a pretty solid idea of, like, Okrim showed you a lot of the bulletin board back in the earlier days of working together, and gave you the rundown of what is official and what is just some old lady looking for a cat. And it seems that the bulletin board is looking much and much more like old lady looking for their cat, except it's more in the idea of people looking for their family members. A lot of these, help me find this person, so and so last seen at this street corner, that sort of a thing. But nothing up there looks official at all. In fact, no official jobs have been posted since the Tackentire job,
Right.
which you weren't a part of.
No.
He had nothing to do with it at all.
No.
No.
But there are a lot of, like I said, a lot of missing persons requests happening. And then, you know, as you're there, you see Alan come out of the cornerstone across the street and dump a pot of scalding water into the street. He kind of he's lost all sense of mirth, even with the wake of Garth's absence in the cornerstone. He gives you a solemn look and a half-hearted wave, and then turns to enter the cornerstone again.
He's just giving me an idea. I shall approach Alan. Alan,
Yes.
good day.
Hello, one.
You've given me an idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm gonna leave. I'm then gonna go to Darius's place. I'm gonna go to the Bottle and Blade Tavern.
Okay.
You might find
I'm
it there,
going
yeah.
to pause you there and check out what Alton is up to.
I don't know. What would I be doing? Let's see. I guess
You could conveniently be at the Bottle and Blade Tavern.
I was gonna say I probably am actually conveniently. I probably actually am conveniently at the bottom blade because if I've found a alchemist,
Mhm.
I'm going to be in the process of negotiations with Darius. I don't necessarily have a drug developed yet, but we are in the R&D phase of it. So therefore, I would start bringing him in on the ground floor.
Right. Okay, so yeah, you're sitting in a back table with Darius. Two orcs are flanking you at the table as well. Just kind of sitting there with their arms crossed, being the muscle as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would assume at this point, at the very least, Darius is very used to Domini. So she's kind of just sitting right next to me at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not aggressive, just chilling, getting petted, maybe getting some scraps or something like that.
Right.
People in Alton's life, I would assume, are starting to just get used to her.
Yeah, Darius doesn't feel threatened by Lil
Yeah,
Wolf.
yeah.
No, I don't.
Right. It's not so much a threat as that people don't, I would imagine they just, like, it's an unusual sight.
In Darius's mind, he's brought his orcs, you've brought your wolf. It's all a matter of just,
Right.
being,
Just
having your
just the way
muscle.
that you are. Yeah. Okay, so I would say we're probably somewhere in negotiation. So I would say, okay, trying to figure out how the conversation would go.
I can give you a story.
Okay, so we haven't. So I'll say we haven't. We are working on a couple of solutions in R&D. We haven't finalized anything. What do you think?
Has anything shown any promise?
The two most promising that we see is connections with the ethereal plane and with the astral plane. We tried looking in the shadow plane, but that did not turn. It was the most effective.
Dangerous.
Did not go
So
well.
dangerous, dude.
Well, I'm glad you figured that one out quickly.
Yeah.
All right. How far away from production do you think we're at?
For mass production,
At least
probably
a sample is all I'm looking for right now.
Oh.
See how this looks.
sample, probably another 6 to 8 weeks for testing, for proper testing. We've got to get out, like, for marketable testing. It's one thing to hire people to be test subjects. It's another thing entirely to test it, like, on a market. Where we're not paying them to take a hit.
In all this, Alton, I still don't quite understand. What do you want from me?
To fulfill a promise.
Which is...
I promised that we would aid you. And regardless of how you reacted, my people, we keep our promises. And even though we couldn't, due to circumstances, follow you at the time, I am here to make good on my promise with you. And this is why I've done all of this.
You're a weird little man, but you know what? I can respect that. If only some of your friends were as good at keeping their promises.
Word.
At this time, Onn can enter, if he'd like.
Before I have a chance
So-
to respond.
I'll wander in, have a scan of the room, see Darius, and wander straight over to the table. And stand next to the table.
The two orcs stand up abruptly and, like, kind of get up to bar your way.
At this point, On is going to be somewhat aggressive. I'm simply going to wave my arms in front of them and say to them, "Sit down. You both look a little tired." At which point, I'm going to cast Charm Person as a second level spell, targeting
Okay.
both of them.
What's the DC for that?
The DC 14.
Okay. Ah! One of the orcs sort of huffs up and crosses his arms and kind of gives you this stare, but the other one gets this sort of dumb look on his face, and he like pats the guy on the shoulder and goes, "Nah, Brock, I think we are pretty tired. We should sit down." And Brock goes, "Yeah, I'm a little worn out myself." And they sit down.
Then I shall approach the table. Darius, Alton. Alton,
On.
Yes.
I was not expecting you to be here. Seeing
I-
you here, it's a surprise.
I could say the same. What are you doing here?
Well, came here to speak with Darius. It appears you have done the same thing.
Yes, that's a fact.
Fortunate. Darius, I have come to discuss with you a deal.
Oh.
I'm in need of money. You have money. I would like to have some of your money.
Well, On, you know how these deals work. If you want some of my money, you need to do something for me.
Indeed. I would like to do less for you than you would otherwise ask in exchange for this money by suggesting that the money will be well spent on something that would serve you in the future.
And what do you think you have that would serve me in the future?
I have no clue what the item or artifact might in fact be. I am assured, however, that it will be useful. I shall lean in close. I have been assured that it's something to be used against Garth.
Assurances don't turn a profit. If I'm going to spend money, it's got to be in a way that makes me money. That's how business works, On. And right now, all you've given me are promises, and promises don't put food on the table.
You do engage in regular business, though, don't you? You're a business person.
A very legitimate business person.
Then I shall do one of those jobs for you.
When I have a job, I will tell you.
Thank you. Must be dire circumstances indeed if the current state of Twin Harbors means that you don't have any jobs available. But you say that you do not at present? I don't see any reason you would lie. Good day, Alton. And yeah,
Okay.
I'll immediately turn and start to walk away.
Can I trust that guy? I mean, like, I might have something in mind, but he's a weird dude.
You know, he's a weird dude. But I mean, he's on the surface. There's no what you see is what you get.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I've got a job for him. If you'll win in, I'll give it to you as well. Guys, have anybody else that might be part of this job? I don't think 2 people alone are going to be enough.
Fine. I got a guy.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to get your team together and then I tell you the details, or do you want the details and then get your team?
One of them's gonna need convincing. I'll go get him.
All right. With that, we're going to switch over to Eigner. Eigner, you are waiting patiently where you're told to wait. And as you're standing there, blue sigils start to paint themselves on the ground just a few feet from you.
Mhm.
They swirl themselves into a circle, and then a second later, the circle completes and glows in a column of light for about, just a second or two, and then diminishes. And standing there is a robed figure. Her hood is down this time. None of the mystique that you took in your dream. But there is the bright-eyed woman who introduced herself as Ethel Vashun. And Ethel reaches a hand out and says, "Eigner, it's a pleasure to meet you in person."
It's a pleasure.
She
Pleasure to meet
pointedly
you.
is not staring at your legs.
Oh, well, that's very kind of her. I have to bend down rather far like this to be able to complete the handshake, but I do, and I say, "Thank you, Ethel, for coming here on such short notice. Welcome."
Actually, it's not really short notice. I've been looking for you for
Well-
like a month now. You're not easy to find.
I more or less intend it to be that way. So good to know that it worked.
Yeah, when you have magical things happening that need to be registered, though, don't intentionally make my job harder, please. As a friend.
I just didn't know. I'm really quite sorry. I'm not never have really been a spellcaster by trade and am not familiar with the regulations involved.
Well, I guess your ignorance can be forgiven. Given this is your first offense, we can let it go.
Okay.
So, first things first. She takes out a ring, much like the one she gave you in your dream. There is no matching ring on her finger, though, and she hands it to you. It's just a silver, solid band.
Mm-hmm.
Put this on.
Okay.
The second you put it on, you suddenly shrink, and your spidery legs are gone, and your human legs have reappeared.
I will be absolutely in shock and start waving my legs around in crazy fashion. What? What is? What? What? How? Why? Huh? What? How?
Your physical appearance has been changed through magical means. This ring dampens those magical means. It kind of works as a dispelling tool. However, you can never take this ring off. I mean, you can physically remove it, but I'm telling you, it is unlawful for you to ever remove this ring, as you are, you're a monstrosity, and as a registered monstrosity, you must maintain your human form at all times. And to break that code or to take this ring off would be a direct violation of your rights.
Wow. Okay. I can never take this off. Ever.
Unless you find some other way of reversing your affliction, no, you cannot.
Okay. Well, what'll happen if I do take it off?
we will know, and we will act in response. And punishment will be administered. There will be fines involved. It just gets really uncomfortable. And look, it's Eigner. It's a lot of paperwork for me. It really is.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
You are welcome. That is the binding contract for your monstrosity affliction. The ring, it's pretty much a signature. And you have a sword that is magical. I can tell that now that it's not a dream. Let's handle that, shall we?
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Like I told you, I'm not even sure if it is magical. I don't even know what it does. But other than cut things.
Can I see it?
Yes.
All right. She takes it from you, and then she just lays it on the ground for a minute and takes some time to etch out another circle on the ground. And then she sits in that circle with the sword draped across her lap. I'm going to need a little bit of help from you here, Drew.
Talon's blade. What actually was it? I was always trying to get it out like during the night. If we were having a combat in the night, I was gonna see like what special effect it had, because that was like the only leading detail.
All I really need to know is how ancient, how rare.
Oh, in that case, ancient in the realm of about 1,000 years. So quite old.
Mhm.
And one of a kind, but not unique, which
Okay.
is a contradiction in most terms. But what I mean by that is that it was a bespoke item made for someone, but it doesn't have qualities unique to that one sword.
Okay, cool. So after about 10 to 15 minutes, she kind of comes out of this trance, and she hands you the sword back and says, "Interesting." She pulls out a book from her. She has a satchel across her, and she has a bunch of books in there. She pulls out a ledger, flips through it, jots something down. Very interesting.
Please.
And she closes the ledger and puts it back and says, "It's been a pleasure to meet you, Eigner."
No, please wait. Do I get to keep that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, you can have the sword.
Yeah. Can you tell me what it does?
I don't know if I can fully explain it. The magic is pretty old. The blade should stay sharp for a long time, though, no matter how many people's skulls you decide to split with it. So that should be reassuring, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but anything else?
I don't know, Drew. Anything else?
I'm struggling to find my notes. Oh, Is she? Do you want me to just send you it in a private message?
Yes,
now,
please. She kind of steps a little closer to you and says, normally we're not supposed to reveal the properties that we discover. Otherwise people start to use us like a service to just get all the items and identified.
How else am I gonna figure out? I'm clueless over here. Like I told you, I'm not even a spellcaster.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So she takes a second and removes a pair of earrings, and then places them on the ground, and then takes a few steps away from them. She goes, "Okay. It's not a difficult thing to wrap your head around. You take the pointy end of the sword, and you stab that into people, right?
Yeah.
So, during a full moon, I'd like you to take that point and just stab it into the ground. You'll find out what happens. I promise you, it's not going to hurt you. But look, don't tell anybody I told you any of this. You're just giving a hint of these magical properties. It could cost me my job. Okay. But I've got a bunch of other people to track down, other objects to this is. I've got a lot of work to do.
I understand. It's a busy day. I'm sorry to have delayed you.
It happens, I understand your curiosity. You come across a magic sword somewhere in the wilderness, and you pick it up and think it's smart to swing it around. Usually it's not. But hey, you lucked out. This one should help you.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. If you ever need anything, just let us know.
Very well. Do you want me to hold on to this other? No, it's on this hand. This other one. I'd
The ring?
still be able to talk to you, I guess, if I keep this.
As you're talking about the ring, you realize it's not actually there.
Oh. I see.
It was only in your dream.
Oh. Well, that's weird. Look, I don't
happens.
understand any of it. But
Clearly.
okay, I'll find a way to get in contact if I need you.
We are always listening.
That's creepy.
With that, she picks up the earrings and puts them back in and draws a magic circle and teleports away.
All right. All right, I'm making some notes.
It is weird looking over older notes.
What was I thinking?
Right?
Okay, so I guess maybe now Alton finds me?
Definitely.
Definitely?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
All right.
So you...
I would know where because I stumbled on him before.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah, you did.
first
Yeah,
place. So I would have known exactly where to go. It's just I happened to miss Fancy Pants
For sure.
somehow.
So you...
Are you gonna grab on somewhere along the way, or are you just gonna appear at Eigner's?
Well, he was like right there, and he was clearly like acting like he was like starting to walk away.
Okay.
Clearly, to me, that meant that he was like,
You just assume you run up and grab him. Hey. we got a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
All right. Shortly after Ethel teleports away, you hear some sounds coming from a direction to your direction. One way or another.
Yeah.
I'm very specific in the details I use as a DM.
Yeah, you are.
You're so specific. Like you've just got to know exactly what I'm saying all the time. And they're in the clearing is Onn and Alton.
When you see Eigner for the first time, he's going to be running like laps around in a circle, and he's got his sword out, and he's just like swinging the sword and flipping around. He almost looks like that little Star Wars kid video where he's like in his garage and everything, and he's just like having a really good time, like flipping around. Like that's Eigner now. He's just like getting used to his new legs. His old legs, his new legs, whatever they are. Huff, puff, huff. Oh, I'm sorry, fellas. I didn't see you there. I hope I didn't almost cut one of you.
no. I mean, we know how to not be within like swinging range. We're adults. I mean,
Yeah.
and I just looked on and I'd be like, well, I mean, in theory. But yeah, no, we're fine.
We appear to be intact.
Onn, why are you green?
Ah, yes. When last we spoke to each other, I was a different hue. Trust me, 'twas not entirely elective. I have, in recent days, come to suspect that perhaps the little poisoning incident that I had was not as benign as previously thought.
Ah,
When I transformed myself blue, perhaps that interacted with the poison. Who's to say?
I see. Well, I hope you can return to your normal color sometime soon.
Why?
That's I don't know. I guess maybe you don't need to.
As always, interesting to see you, Eigner.
So, how may I help you? What brings you to my cabin?
I'm in search of money.
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong fella.
No, he asked for a job and he needs some help because apparently it's going to take more than a couple of people. And Iridu is off. I haven't been able to find him over the past couple weeks, so I figured. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently you're whole again. But I figured you're the only other person I know. Between the two of us, we only know two other people. So, since I can't find Iridu, you were the only other option.
I see. Is Eridu
Well,
all...
no, sorry, Emily. I know Emily, so
Okay.
that's I know three people.
Is Eridu all right?
No. Definitely no.
Oh.
My research indicates that perhaps he's heartbroken at the loss of a lover and overwhelmed with feelings that he's trying to drown in drugs.
That does not sound like the Eridu I know.
I do have the data to back it up. I have it written down somewhere if you'd like.
Okay.
I mean, it's true. He was doing a lot of drugs, and then his boyfriend left him. So,
all right. So, I don't even know what the job is that you guys have going on, but I feel like I gotta get out of here. I gotta get in there. Hopefully find Eridu along the way somehow. Because I'm worried.
yeah. I'm worried too. I keep every now and then I try to go and find him. I have someone taking care of his place, but I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot we can do right now.
I see. Well, let me grab some things and let's go.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Just wait.
Yeah, so he grabs his satchel, he grabs his little wooden flute that he carved himself, and he's on the go with the boys.
So you guys head back to speak with Darius, and as I guess as you sit down, Darius goes, "So this is everybody."
Yes. My name is Eigner Bosh.
Darius.
Pleasure to meet you.
We'll see about that.
Ah,
I'm terribly sorry, Darius. I think you may be overestimating the capacity of this establishment. We couldn't bring everyone in here.
Well, so you have a much larger party then, and you three
Oh,
are
no,
just
this-
representing it.
This is all we have of the party. The city has a much larger population, however. I have the notes written down somewhere. I can show you the evidence.
Yes. Do you have the city helping you out?
No.
Then why would the city need to be in my bar?
I was confused there as well, Darius, I must confess.
Can we talk about the job? Can we just get on with that? Is that allowed?
yes.
I mean, you're the one who started it with him. I've just given up on that conversation.
Alton. First things first. I would like you to escort someone very dear to me out of the city. I don't know if this will be enough, so I'm going to send one of my people with you. Secondly, until I know that I can trust this one, until that one stops talking about everyone in the city, I'm only going to talk to you.
Okay, fine by me.
So, can you ask Onn what kind of money he needs?
Oh my god. Okay. On what kind of money do you need?
After a minor back and forth over the material substances creating the currency that he's after, he'll settle on communicating that he currently has 200. He needs an extra 100, and that perhaps maybe looking for a bit more so that he isn't starving after buying this thing.
200 gold each.
It's not what I heard him say.
Right, but he needs to eat, and he's an idiot, so...
So I'm to shell out 600 gold.
How about 4?
That sounds fair.
Okay.
We're talking about 400 gold in total, not 400 gold each. You didn't just try to up that price on me, did you?
No.
I mean, I
said-
couldn't fault you if you did. That would have been a clever, very clever play on words. Something I would expect from the one that I'm not talking to right now.
No, I meant 400 total, because you said 600, so the assumption was from 6 to 4, You know how negotiations work, right?
Of course I do.
I mean,
I will pay your party 400 gold for this transport. You will split it amongst yourselves how you need to, because I really don't care how you spend your money. And, I already forgot the name of the orc that I mentioned earlier. It started with the B.
Brock.
Brock. And Brock will go with you. You're going to be escorting my grandfather out of the city. He only needs to go to a small town not far into the Dwarven Empire. I think that'll be enough of an out-of-the-way place that the paladins won't dare come find him.
What do the paladins have to do with this?
Haven't you been in the city lately?
Not for months. But I've seen things that make me believe that it's very tense.
Yes, and it's only getting worse. So, have you heard of the ambassador's assassination?
No.
Well, an ambassador came down from the fancy kingdom's capital over there and got his head blown off somehow. And someone got it in their mind that it was the dwarves who did it. And now these paladins of his seem to think every single dwarf is suspect. They're going home to home, pulling people out and all sorts of stuff. Look, I can handle them myself. But I feel like my grandfather is getting a bit too frail. I guess a grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said grandfather.
He's getting a bit too frail for this. If they get even a little rough with him, I don't know if it'll help his health at all.
Well, we will keep your grandfather safe. Don't worry.
I hope so. He means a lot to me.
I can't think of any more information that we might need. Apart from where your grandfather is that we might collect him, is he briefed on the fact that we are coming to collect him? And is there a contact that we are to deliver him to? Or simply let him scurry free once we get him to the destination.
Oh, yes. He turns his attention to
Wonderful,
Alton.
that answers my questions.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for it to come.
I will have him delivered to you shortly. He doesn't need to know anything. In fact, you shouldn't try to speak with him at all. It would get a little strange. And the rest of my family is waiting to receive him in the dwarven town to which we did not give a name but has already been mentioned in a previous campaign.
Oh, that one?
Somebody name it.
I don't know.
Drew, name it.
It was you the one who mentioned it, Drew. What's his name gonna be?
Hold on, I'll get a random name generator going.
Aren't we terrible about this naming stuff?
Oh yeah, no, we're the
worst.
worst. We're the worst.
Tilseven.
Tilseven. Okay.
Tilseven.
Well, yep, that's where you're going. That's the place.
Remember, we were trying to steer away from stereotypical dwarven, like,
Yes, we were.
stone hammer. So
The
Tilseven.
Stone Town.
Tilseven. Okay. Yeah, the rest of my family is waiting in Tilseven for him.
Asa, I actually have names for all of Darius's family members if you wanted them.
Do you have a name for his grandfather?
No, I didn't think of having him have a grandfather, but
Okay,
but you can come up with a new name for the grandfather, and I got everyone else covered.
I will do just that. Yeah, go ahead and let me know what the name for everyone else is.
I'll just pop it in chat, Zoom chat.
Exactly. All right. So, Darius goes, if you're ready to go now, we can just meet out back or on the back side of the tavern, get everything going. You just can head out now. The sooner the better.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Ready.
Yes.
All right.
I'm prepared for the endeavor.
Okay. So you guys, he heads around the a different way, like into the back of the tavern itself, but gestures that he'll meet you guys around in the alley,
Okay.
or tells you to
Yep.
meet you. You'll let you know.
Yeah. Just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
So you come to the alley, and Darius is waiting, holding this door open, and first comes the dwarf or the orc that I didn't give a name to.
Brock.
And
Wait,
then-
no, the other one?
Yeah, and then and then he's followed by Brock. But between them, they're carrying a kind of short pine box, and they come up and they set it down. And Darius looks at you and says, "This is my grandfather. I mean, inside the box is my grandfather."
What nonsense is this?
Are we to create our own air holes for him? Or...
No,
I thought
he's
it'd be
dead.
pretty That's the one.
Yeah. He's
Yes.
kind of dead. I'm assuming that dwarves have some kind of I don't know, burial concerns, and they don't want his father to be desecrated.
We'll go with that. That sounds good.
I don't know your culture. I don't really understand big people or big folks' culture, so
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You're just getting paid to transport a dead body. That's all you need to know.
that's all I need to know.
I'm sure this is not an unusual job for you.
Absolutely 100% it is, but I don't need to know. I'm helping my friend out, and that's all I need to know. And I'm doing more to create a better partnership with you. So,
All right. So, Two of you probably need to carry the box, so you can secure yourself a wagon.
Yeah, we will 100% wagon it because that means the two of them carrying it, and then I look at Onn and I say, I don't think that our third is going to be doing a lot of carrying.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to then. Do you mind if? How about I'll go and get, if you don't mind, leaving one of your people here
Well,
with.
Brock's gonna come with us for the whole thing.
Right, but I mean with the body.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'll stay. I'll stay there with the orc dude and guard it.
Right, that's fine. Yeah. Then I'm gonna go head out and get rent a
A horse and a wagon.
horse and wagon. How long is it gonna be to get out there?
Out to the city?
Yeah,
town?
out to the town.
I mean, probably 6-7 hours with a horse and a wagon. The sooner the better.
Okay. So that's fine. Okay, so then I'm gonna go.
Before
and
you
then-
go, Eigner will throw 10 gold your way to help pay for the horse and wagon fees.
Okay. Then I'll hold on to that, and I will go and rent a horse and wagon for 3 days.
Sounds good. You find? Do you care about the haggling? You can find somebody and haggle that through, or we can roleplay that if you want.
Being that I am, it would be hilarious to see me haggle. So that's up to you, because I have a negative modifier in persuasion or in charisma, and
That's a good thing I gave you extra money then.
I am happy
Yeah.
to say that this situation goes awkwardly for you, and you end up paying, or at least feeling like you overpaid for this.
Oh, 100%. I've gotten used to that by now.
And we can walk away with that.
Yeah. Big folk are. I never feel like I'm getting a good deal out of them. That's not even.
Okay.
For real.
Every time I interact with big folk, I always feel like I'm getting short sticked. So.
Right.
But you're the short stick, Alton.
Just looking Okay. All right. So you guys find yourselves on the road, or rather on the roads of.
Oh, how much?
Harbors.
How much are we spending?
How much
You
are you
never
spending?
said.
Is that important to you? Okay.
Well, because I gave money, so I don't want to just
Yeah.
keep the money. I said use it to pay for the horse and wagon.
Yeah,
Well,
we are managing.
considering the cost of a horse is like 75 gold or 50 gold for a draft horse, and you're renting it, I'm going to say there's a minimum down payment of 75 gold for the horse and cart. And then the actual payment for rental.
It's like the deposit.
yeah,
it's like
deposit.
you put down a deposit.
Whenever, if you're not it's the deposit.
And then the
that you
payment
pay
for
up
the rental
front.
itself is 35 gold. So
Okay, so I'll drop 65 gold out of my right now, and then get 40 back if
it's
it comes down to it.
It's a solid payment of 110 gold flat out, 35 for the actual rental, and then 75 for the down payment, which you should get the 75 back if you bring it back nice and not dead.
Oh, usually those things work in that you pay it all up front, and then whatever you don't spend, you just get back.
Sure. I do not care. It's just money.
Well, it matters to me because.
Okay.
Okay. Boom.
All right. So, yeah,
On the road.
you guys are working your way through the city. As you're traveling through the city, there are a handful of the just in pairings, these paladins that show up every once in a while. Most of them are celestials, but they do vary in different, in different races. So
Right.
far, the only thing you haven't seen are dwarves in that armor. Um,
Okay.
but elves and humans and celestials seem to be the most common. It is like the tabards that they wear. Uh, Eigner, you recognize the symbol on their tabards.
Mm-hmm.
These are the paladins, loyal to Ethereum.
Elysium.
Elysium, I'm
Elysium.
sorry, it's a different thing. Elysium, and these are all essentially the High Lords of Elysium. Have lands along the borders of Elysium itself, and these lords they're pretty much like paladins to the throne, and they're tasked with putting together smaller armies for skirmishes and for intercity state squabbles that need to be handled by the capital itself. They have a reputation for getting things done, and not always in the most gentle of ways. And typically, they're sort of viewed as the law in the Free Kingdoms. If they have to deal with a problem, it usually means that problem has gotten out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you definitely recognize the order, and you might even recognize a few of the faces.
Mm. Egner will start to get like even more uncomfortable. He pulls the hood of his cloak up even farther to hide his face, and seems to be like lurking and sulking through the streets instead of walking normally and proudly.
All right. You guys make it through the city streets, and as you get closer to the dwarven side, there are less and less of these paladin, and nobody even bats an eye at four people escorting a cart and a horse and wagon or horse and cart rather, out of the city. And as you're walking, Brock just keeps casting a nervous glance at the sun and kind of mumbling to himself. Okay.
Everything quite all right, Brock?
I'm just hoping we make it to the city before night. That's all.
What happens at night?
I'm just, I'm not a fan of the dark myself much.
Oh. Is it the unknown things that might be lurking in the dark? Or is it darkness itself?
Well, I mean, it's all. How do you know the unknown things lurking in the dark aren't just the darkness? I mean, but all that's nothing compared to the things you do know are lurking in the dark. And they're everywhere. Roll me an
Everywhere, you
insight.
say?
Roll me an insight check.
I rolled a 3 on the d20.
All
I can
right.
only assume that means that I succeed at whatever else I had on.
Hey, is it okay if I do one?
I get a
No,
plus
I just
1.
wanted on to
Oh,
do this.
okay.
I got a
Yeah.
4.
He does. You notice him just casting a look at everything.
I am gonna follow his gaze to everything, and even like start at a few things that aren't scary at all. Everywhere, you say?
Everywhere.
Huh. How do you cope?
I mean, usually I just punch him in the face, but some things you can't punch.
That's quite true. Going to not be comforting to him at all and join his paranoia.
Okay. Uh, so as d- only Eridu went to this town, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was the only one out of the player characters.
And he had a history of the town already, so knew where he was going.
Hmm.
All right. Since Brock is not the brains of this whole thing, I would like someone to make me a roll having to do with probably either survival or nature, to just see
Yeah.
how you guys make.
Well, I would probably be survival.
I could do one of those pretty well, I think. I could do survival with
Okay.
+4.
All right. Cool.
+6.
Okay. Is just one of us doing it, or all of us doing it, or
You could both do it. Whoever has the highest could do it.
just go with the highest then,
Yeah,
I'll watch. I'm gonna roll like crap, and then I'm gonna feel bad.
for sure.
it's gonna be great. Don't worry,
Yeah,
something's gonna happen.
I rolled bad. 14.
14. Okay, that's not too bad.
Only because I have a high modifier.
You send Dagny out to do a bit of scouting, just kind of to make sure whether the way is clear. And she lets you, like, she comes back, kind of tail between her legs, a little bit hunkered down, whimpering and looking back in the direction that she came from, which is, from what you can tell, the road to. Give me a second here. The road to Tilsevin. And I don't know how well you can speak with your animals, so.
Oh, well, I have a couple of options. Obviously, I have speak with animals that I could cast if I am. It is also a ritual spell, but being that I would be that concerned about
Well, you know,
what she just thought of, I would just cast it.
you can kind of tell that she's clearly uncomfortable going in this direction. There's something up there that she wanted to avoid.
Right, but just from a role-playing standpoint, I'd be like, okay, what's she know?
Okay.
Because I have speak with animals, so like
For sure.
I could communicate with her telepathically, but I wouldn't be able to know
What she's thinking.
So,
For sure. All right.
Yeah.
What's
so
the?
I'm going to cast speak with animals.
All right. You do that.
And I can gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. The knowledge is awareness of many beasts. Many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations of monsters, including what they can perceive or have perceived within the past day, and be
Okay.
able to persuade a beast to perform small favors. Blah blah blah.
All right. So yeah, you cast it, and what do you say?
What is it? What's going on?
She just talks back like normal, right? Yeah, let's do it. Go
Yeah, she would just talk back like normal. Only I can understand it.
Yeah.
To everybody else, she's probably like
She's kind of whimpering and giving little yips, and
Yeah.
she says, "Big green, claws and teeth."
Well, I would assume. Let's see. Hold on. What's her? It just says. Okay, then. I
I'm
think
just trying to explain to you in the way that she would understand the world that she's smelling.
Right. Okay, so there's big green She would not be able to speak basic because I would have done this frequently, often enough that she'd be able to like speak, not like a moron.
The thing is, what does she have names for? That's what I'm getting at.
Right, that's what
As
I'm
an
saying
animal.
is that like this is a creature with whom I would speak with animals frequently enough that she'd be able to speak in. She may not know what Big Green Monster it is, but she wouldn't speak like an idiot. That's all.
Well, she'll tell you it's a monster,
So
for sure.
right, so yeah, she would. I like. What is the Big Green Monster like? What does it look like?
Large nose, snout,
Mm-hmm.
long claws, eats everything. Very, very hungry. Smells like a swamp.
Does it flesh, fur, or mossy?
Flesh.
Flesh. Flesh. Mossy. Big or small? Like tall or short?
Big, like bigger than them big.
Much bigger or just kind of bigger?
Much. Like two.
Okay.
Maybe two
Like-
and a half.
2.5 of them. Green. Okay. Is it following us?
She sniffs the air. No. It's eating.
Did you see what it's eating?
She looks at the horse.
Noted. Okay. Hey, we're gonna. I want you to keep an eye out for me, and we're going to. We're gonna keep on the lookout for it too. We don't want that thing to hurt the horse. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then I give her a pet, and then she can speak for the next 10 minutes. So, for the next 9 minutes. So,
She wanders around, sniffing the air, and mostly just going, ugh.
okay, and then I'm gonna turn to
When
everybody
you
else.
die, I will roll in your corpse.
Wow.
I would be used to that kind of conversation. So,
For real.
hey, there's something in the area that's pretty nasty. It's pretty huge. So, and apparently it eats horses. So, keep an eye out.
Will do.
My teeth want to tear at your toes, but you will step on me.
Huh. Well, in that case, I'll take point. And Eigner will have his shield. He will have his sword. The talons.
Is it still
blade.
daytime at this point?
It is going into evening. The sun is starting to go down,
Mhm.
Okay.
and you are still a couple hours away from the city.
So I'm gonna sit at the bottom while Dabney is patrolling. I'm gonna sit behind, and I'm going to just keep like a lookout. I don't know if you want me to roll perception checks or just leave it the 21 passive, whichever one you want to do. But I'm going to just keep an eye out and an ear out for anything.
If you are actively making a perception check, find something. No, just keep it passive because you're just kind of there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like scanning the area, so I'm not like, yeah.
Dagny looks at you and says, "You all smell too much like you. You should roll in something. Hide your smell." Brock goes, "Why are we stopping? It's the sun is going down. We should keep. There are things."
What things could be
There's
that
always-
dangerous in the night?
Always things in the night. We can't see them. It's night.
We have torches.
Torches only show so much light. Besides, not torches don't help the night. Roll me an insight check.
Yay! I finally get one. I rolled a 1. Yay! What if we have more torches?
You can decide however you want to critically fail that. How do you want to interpret what he's saying?
I just want to interpret that he is like, I want to interpret in like a pathetic way where it's like, I truly think that even though he's a big strong orc, he's really just a little softy scared kid, like he's just scared of the dark. That's all.
Okay.
So I'll actually kind of like be a little bit more condescending to him and say like, look now, Brock, you really have no reason to be scared. You're among friends. And we can help to keep you safe and keep you calm.
He looks at you knowingly and says, "You will keep me safe from the things in the dark."
I mean, it's only the dark. What can it do to you? And like I said, we have torches. We'll be in the light. It'll be really just fine.
It's not simply the dark, Eigner. It's what could be in the dark. And the things that are in the dark are potentially numerous, uncountable, mostly given account of the fact that we can't observe them.
I'm not sure if you're helping right now, On.
Oh, sorry, am I supposed to be helping?
Look, if there is if look, Brock, if the night comes, if there is a full moon, then I've just found out that this sword right here will be somewhat more powerful, and I promise that whatever comes in the night, I'll be able to fight it off.
His sword does look pretty powerful.
Yeah, it stays sharp for a really long time.
That's good for a sword. Sharpening swords is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
With that, Dagny yelps or barks and starts charging toward Alton, and she's the spell is still active, I assume, or has it been?
I don't know. Has it been 10 minutes? Because it lasts for 10 minutes.
It's not active anymore. It's probably been about an hour.
Okay, then yeah, no, it obviously wouldn't be.
She yelps or barks loudly at you, and is like pushing her body against you, trying to push you in the opposite direction of the road.
And from okay,
Like
the opposite
back the way you came.
Okay, back the way that we came.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna just very quiet, like, so you know what a stage whisper is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just stage whisper, hold,
Okay.
and then I'm
Then-
going to listen for anything.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll hear that, and I'll do the fist motion to reinforce that command, and everyone stops.
Okay. Yeah, you all hold and you wait for a few moments, and you begin to feel it before you hear it. The ground starts to tremble a little bit, and then you start hearing the boom, boom of heavy footfalls coming in your direction. Then they stop, and there's a moment that's like an intake of breath, and then the sound goes boom, 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 and there's a huge crash as a low tree is pushed down, and a large troll steps, charges into the roadway in front of you. It rears back at the sight of you, and just bellows a guttural word that sounds really close to horse, and then charges at you guys. I know we're a few minutes short of 3 o'clock, but I
But
do
it's
want to
too close
stop
to
here.
Yeah. There's no point in going from here.
Exactly. So
How-
there's a troll bearing down on you.
There's a troll bearing
Yeah.
down on us. Well, that sucks. Alright, I guess we'll just have to figure out what our party is going to do about that troll.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. Next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll figure out what the party does in that troll.
Mm-hmm.
With that troll. On that. This got really awkward. Suddenly we're
On-
doing things on trolls.
Doing thing on a troll for some reason.
On trolls, in trolls.
Yeah.
Around trolls.
Well, sweet. As usual, thanks for watching Roll for Mischief. Our game is called Winds of War, and this episode, hosted by our game master Asa, has been called Stormfront.
Yes, indeed.
And we will continue the exciting story
name.
next week. So, thanks very much.